For wealthier retirees, would you still recommend buying cheap, very used cars, 5K and under, or buying a new Honda, Toyota, Mazda, Subaru and running it for 10 years?
So that's a big difference in what you're asking. You're asking, would I spend $5,000 and under on a car, or would I go buy a brand new car? Let's find a middle ground somewhere in there. So I don't ever recommend, unless you just have money to set on fire, ever buying a brand new car, because there's just so much depreciation. The second that you sign on that dotted line, you're going to take off 15, 20, sometimes even 25%, depending on the make and model of the vehicle, off the value of the car. So let somebody else enjoy that depreciation. You can find so many cars that are just 1 year old and save so much money doing it. Now, over the last few years, it's been difficult to do because there were some used cars that were 1 and 2 years old that were getting sold for more than brand new ones, because there was a lack of production that was happening. There was it was hard to find a new vehicle at some, depending on the make and model you're looking at. Sometimes it was hard to find a brand new one that wasn't already spoken for. We don't have that situation anymore. You can wait a year on a car that you love, let someone else put 10,000 miles on it, let them trade it in. Yes, people do that. They will buy a car and they'll trade it in. And in a lot of cases, there'll be like leases that are only 2 years. Someone will get the car brand new, they'll lease it out for 2 years, and then a lot of times the dealerships will get those vehicles back. There'll be leases that you can buy. They're only 2 years old and they have 10,000 miles on them. Go that route. Now, here's the thing. You're asking from a retiree, someone who probably has some money put back. You really have to decide what your financial situation is. If you're in a case where you're still kind of paycheck to paycheck, even though you have your retirement fund sitting back, but you find that a lot of that money's going, then I don't want you to get into something that's going to cost you a lot of money. And in a lot of cases, you can buy cars that are $5,000 and under, pay cash for it, and it'll last you for a very long time. You just got to do some work to actually figure out if it's a good car or not. The easiest way to do that is find you a good trusted mechanic and take that car to them to get it checked out before you actually purchase the car. But I really think in your scenario, I don't know all of your details and how much money you have put back, if you're going to have to finance a car, pay cash for it. But I would rather you find somewhere in the middle if you're asking that question. But I don't want you to take out debt for a car. I don't care if you're buying a new car. I don't care if you're buying a $2,500 car. No debt. You don't want to borrow money on an asset, call a car asset as a liability, but something that's going down in value. You don't want to borrow money on something like that. So I would try to find you somewhere in that middle ground. If you have tons of money and you have the ability to pay cash for a brand new car, I still don't want you to buy a brand new car, but a 2-3-year-old car, as long as you can pay cash for it. If you have the money, I think you'd be happier in something like that. But if you just like to have something that's old, a beater, you can park it in the Walmart parking lot, and you don't care if somebody slams a card into it. If that gives you freedom, then go that route. There's a lot of ways to go, and the having the ability to have the choice here is the freedom that you're going to get to have if you don't have to take on debt to make this choice. So you can, I'm happy with whatever you want to do as long as you're paying cash for this vehicle, and it's not going to stretch you at all. If you're using that cash, if it's cash that you can set on fire and it doesn't matter to you at all, then you can spend as much as you want to, just really depending on your financial situation. But no debt, and don't let it hurt you financially. That's the two biggest things.
We have a very good follow-up question to that. Zeb said, if you buy a new car and keep it for 10 years, does depreciation really matter?
I mean, yeah, it matters, because you could buy a $5,000 car and keep it for 10 years. And after 10 years, you know what that car is probably worth? Probably $3,500. So, I mean, depreciation does matter, because you can be driving something a lot cheaper and have much more limited depreciation. Now, here's the argument for that, is that $5,000 car is going to cost you way more in repairs. That is true. You're going to have something to fix on that $5,000 car. You're going to have to fix that $5,000 car more often. But if you do your due diligence, and if you actually buy a vehicle that is easily maintain, something that's not going to fix, something that's not going to break very often. You think your Hondas, your Toyotas. If you do your research on that kind of stuff, then I do believe that the amount that you're going to put into that car is still going to be far less than what you're going to get eaten up in with depreciation. At the end of the day, I'm probably the wrong person to ask about this because a car is a tool. It's a thing to get you from one place to another, and that's what it does. I mean, it's a $5,000 car can do the same thing as the $25,000 car can. So there's a lot of people, they want to drive something nicer. That's all well and good. Just make sure if you are that type of person, you can actually afford to be that kind of person, and you want to make sure you're setting yourself up for a much better financial future. And the way that you can do that is by not taking debt out to drive something that's not necessary. What's the furthest someone should travel for a vehicle purchase? Um, it's going to depend on your situation, but if you're in the Rust Belt, I would travel as far as you need to be able to get a reasonably priced vehicle that doesn't have rust in it. Now, I will say how long someone has traveled to buy one of our vehicles. We've had someone actually get on a Greyhound bus, multiple buses from South Dakota. It's either South Dakota or North Dakota, and come down to we're around Charlotte, North Carolina. He said one of the stints was 16 hours long. These are the extent that some of these people that come from Michigan's, North Dakota, South Dakota, New York, to get a car that doesn't have rust on it. I've had a customer that has come and multiple times and bought cars from me from Michigan. The reason I asked him, I said, "Are you crazy? What are you doing? Why are there no cars in Michigan that you can buy for $2,500?" And actually, I think he bought a Ford Taurus for $3,500. But he came down here. He said, "I've got another Ford Taurus just like it, but it's rusted, and this one's not. And I can use the other one as a parts car. So yeah, I'll travel down here to buy a rust-free car because this car up in Michigan doesn't exist." And I get it completely, but it seems crazy to me that people would travel that far to buy something that's rust-free. There has to be another way. But if you're throw the rust out, if you're not in a rust area, I wouldn't travel very, very far at all. Maybe an hour tops to go find a car because there's so many used cars available everywhere. Maybe that car for that price is not going to pop up immediately for you when you're looking for it, but just keep looking. People will sell cars every single day. These cars were made in the millions every single year. There's tons and tons and tons of cars out there that you can acquire, and you don't need to travel 16 hours to come buy a car from me. Don't do that. That's crazy. I want to sell you a car, but I'm trying to give you information right now so you can figure out how to find a car that's not at my car dealership. There's cars within your range of in your state that you can go and find and buy for a good price. You just have to do the research. But it's crazy to me to just hear how far people have traveled just to buy a car. I'm one car dealer, so there's thousands and thousands and thousands of these cases of people traveling across the country to go buy a certain car at a certain price. And maybe on classic cars that there's 1 out of 10 of them that still exist. That I can understand. But if you're going to go across country to buy a 2002 Ford Taurus, there's got to be another way. That's all I'm saying.
What is the average dealer markup now on a late model used car?
You can't really know that. I mean, there's no data out there to be able to know this. I can guess at it. So on a late model used vehicle, so if you've got a car that's 2 or 3 years old, and what's the average? We'll take a Toyota Camry. So the average used Toyota Camry around that range is probably going to be $28,000 because the new ones are like 33 to 35 grand. I would guess that they're making, or at least trying to make, about $5,000. So when you go in to trade it in, they're going to give you 22, 23, 24 grand, somewhere around there. And then they'll pump it up by $4,000 or $5,000. And then whenever they go to negotiate, they'll take a little bit off. But I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood. I think $5,000 is actually high now that I think about it. 4,000, $2,500 to $4,000 would be my guess, and that's just on front end. So you'll have also back end products. You'll have dock fee. Dock fee in most places. If you're buying a 2 or 3 year old vehicle, they're gonna have a lot nicer cars. That means they can have a lot nicer dock fee. So probably looking at somewhere between $7.99, $8.99 dock fee. Around there, they're making money on that. They're going to make money on your financing. If you're not paying cash for the car, you're going to pay them for that too. They're going to try to sell you gap insurance. They're going to try to sell you extended warranty. Absolute scam. Don't buy extended warranties. They're going to get all your nitrogen, all your accessory stuff that they want to put, the paint protectant. They want to put all on that. So they're going to try to make at least $2,500 to $4,000 front end, and then probably squeeze you for another $3,000 on the back end too, would be my guess. And I'm not a new car franchise dealer. I don't sell cars that are 2 and 3 years old. So take that with a grain of salt. This is just from me seeing some of the wholesale prices. This is from me talking to some dealers that do deal in this kind of stuff. But I don't know the exact numbers, but that would be my guess.